Hi, it's Joy and Simco. You're watching The Last of Us, Season 1, Episode 5, Endure and Survive, which is an ominous title after an ominous ending. I am stressed because this show is stressful. I'm also very excited, though I am going to be convinced it is Monday all day today because The Last of Us is on 2 days early because of the Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm excited. Reminder, you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and let's go. I mean, going against Fedra is a good idea, but maybe not murdering them. Like, if some of them committed crimes, put them in prison. If you oppress people, they can snap.
Where is Henry?
They know you're gonna kill them anyway.
Kill them.
He's with Edelstein.
You've just got Henry killed too.
Edelstein was a collaborator?
In case things went bad.
But things have gone great. Haven't you heard? Kansas City is free.
There's a lot of like justified anger and resentment, and like, give these people prison sentences, give them life in prison even. Fuck, like, that's fine. Murdering them makes you as bad as Fedra, as bad as the people you're angry at, but these people have just snapped, haven't they?
Hold up, where? No, we are not really putting them on trial. When you're done, burn the bodies. It's faster.
You should put them on trial, but you're just as bad as Fedra. You're just Fedra Mark II. Overthrowing Fedra, what's the point if you're just going to be them? Not right now, but you are. So we really, like, Joel and Ellie really got here not long after the QZ fell. Fuck. And stay confident. As confident as you can be. I'm very concerned for this baby boy. You're super Sam. Is that the shop opposite the shop Ellie and Joel crash into? Yep.
I don't know what the next step is with something like this, but if I lower my gun... He says, thank you.
You always heard Casey Fedra was
Monsters, savages.
The worst.
Yeah, you heard right. Raped and tortured and murdered people for 20 years.
No
You know what
wonder
happens when you
people
do
of
that to
this, yep, snapped this
They get a
hard.
chance.
I don't work with rats.
Yeah, you fucking do. Today you do. Because I live here and you don't.
Why did you
That's how I followed
rat?
you here.
Kids. Oh, he likes the buns.
There's infected. It's
Fuck.
not on the surface. Fedra drove them underground 15 years ago and never let them come back up.
Why didn't they just kill them all?
Fascist motherfuckers ever did.
So
If
you
you've
want
got
us
them
to go into a
underground,
tunnel?
just
Everyone
kill them all.
thinks that is full of told me that it's clean, completely clean. They cleared it out, all of it.
Okay, that would make sense that they cleared it out.
Ran into a clicker,
2 of them.
and you're still alive. You
We
see,
lost a friend.
you're the right people. If it gets bad,
There
down
were 3 of us when we
turn
ran into
around,
those clickers.
Around right.
Everything. This is just going to be a nice, happy little stroll through a little tunnel. It's all going to be fine.
Dad's kind of a pessimist.
I'm not my dad. Put your light forward.
Like Ellie instinctively looking out for the kid. I don't like this. It's nice to see Ellie getting to be a kid.
Telling you the truth before
Tell us now, please.
about me not killing someone.
His collaboration got
wasn't
someone
me.
killed.
Great man. He got sick.
Mm-hmm.
Leukemia.
Christ. Of course he collaborated.
And
I mean, this
he-
fucking medicine should just be given for
there was
free.
one drug that worked. Or am I the bad guy?
Fedra's the
I
bad
was
guy.
waiting on, man. The answer's easy. I am the bad guy because I did a bad guy thing.
You're a morally grey guy.
But you
Fedra are the bad guys.
You might not be her father, but you were someone's. See, I could tell.
That story, I mean, I do not agree with anybody turning somebody else in, but at the same time, you can so understand being in that position and seeing your little brother desperately needing medical help that's right there, and you do anything, including sell your own soul, to protect that child. Like, I don't agree with it, but I think there's a lot of us who, in that position for that kid, would do it. It would be different if it was medicine for yourself or something for yourself and you think my life is worth more than them. But if you think your kid's life, like a kid you're raised, like, it is fucked up. The true bad guys here are Fedra. He is not a completely let off the hook guy. I genuinely think prison time would be the correct response for his actions. But then Kathleen and everyone have just gone around extrajudicially murdering people. They also are not good guys. Kansas City doesn't have any good guys left. And maybe it was if he says that the great man that Kathleen's brother was always forgiving, maybe had he led the revolution, he wouldn't have done what Kathleen has done. But that action actually ripple affected into all these other deaths. But at the same time, if this Fedra was even worse than the one we saw in Boston, no wonder people are going to rise up and be that angry.
He would be horrified by the things I've done.
Gosh, she's aware
And
at
if he's come
least.
to tell me, he told me. The last
Jesus.
time I saw him alive.
God, if only he had been the one to lead this revolution, it would have been so much better.
That is the point of that.
There's a difference
Brother was a
between
great man.
there is a difference between not forgiving someone and murdering them. You can not forgive someone and put him in prison so he doesn't get free time. He gets, the most basic of rations that there are. He doesn't get to pick and choose from the limited supply. He doesn't get to decide he wants to go for a walk today. He doesn't get to decide if he wants to, his life is just a prison cell. Like, that would suck. That is far more justice than just shooting somebody. And you still don't have to forgive him that way.
He didn't change anything. You did.
You've killed a lot of people. You have become the people you tried to stop. What are you going to do, Kathleen, when somebody that you've just liberated turns around and says to you, I don't like how you're doing things? Are you going to be like, oh, cool, we'll have an election? Or, oh, cool, that's fine. Yeah, you're allowed to title your opinion. Or are you going to kill them too? I mean, I don't hate her because you can see how she has ended up like this. You live through the apocalypse and then you get oppressed and abused by the government. And then your brother, who tried to find the good in people, is murdered because someone they trusted turned on them for medicine for his brother. Like, I can see how it would twist you up. I don't hate her in the same way that I potentially hate the Fedra people who did it to them. But she doesn't... It's the fact that she's so aware that what she's doing is monstrous and she's just like, I don't care. Makes her someone that is very, very frightening because she has crossed that line and she is fully aware she has done it. There is no going back for her.
Gonna be here because my plan worked.
So much.
Don't be so cocky. There's a lot of episode time left. I know you don't know that, but...
Well, we're going to Wyoming.
Oh, Ellie.
Stay. He'll change his mind, trust me. This is how it goes. He's like, no, Ellie, never, ever, ever happening. And then I'm like, I'm gonna ask you a million more times. And he's like,
Fucking hell. Soldiers from the city. Now, is it someone Kathleen has sent to guard all possible exits out of the city? Or is it just some crazy person?
And then I'll take him out.
but if you go out there, he's gonna kill you.
It's dark and he has shit
Oh,
aimed.
God.
Nobody's gonna kill
Then
me.
he's gonna kill us.
Do you trust me?
Yeah.
Please don't do it. Please.
He didn't want to kill the old man. Why was he a Kathleen sentry or just a lunatic?
Fuck.
Mm-hmm. He said run. Fuck. Oh, Ellie. Don't waste ammo. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
That's all right.
Is every single armed person here as gung-ho as she is? I mean, I guess they've all suffered for so long. Killing the Fedra agents to an extent I can understand, but killing people, surely they all know why he collaborated. It wasn't because he wanted alcohol, or it wasn't because he wanted a holiday. It was because he wanted to save his brother's life. And it doesn't make it okay, it doesn't make it right, but it makes it less shootable.
Matter.
You don't understand.
But I do. I know why you did what you did.
She's just a monster.
But did you ever stop to think that maybe he was supposed to die?
He's just a fucking kid.
You're a monster. Did you ever stop to think that maybe your brother was supposed to die?
Get ready to take him and run. Yes.
Oh, Lord.
Do it.
It ends the way it ends.
Just like your brother's life did. Oh my god, the sinking that was happening in the city. Holy fuck. Fucking hell. Oh my god. Get Kathleen, please, you little monsters. What is that? No. I didn't sign up for this. Why are there giant monster ones? You brought all of these people here for your vengeance? Kathleen, you are the reason these people have all died. You brought them here because you wanted revenge. Has he seen one of these things before? Oh my god, Ellie, you gotta go. Oh fuck. This is why we don't waste our bullets, my love. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Oh, thank god he's a good shot. This brave girl. Oh god, oh god, oh god. This is what vengeance has brought you, you lunatic. How many of them are there? Is this all the ones that were pushed on? Of course they were pushed underground. They didn't clear them out. They cleared them out by moving them. Fucking hell. I mean, I'm not sad Kathleen's dead. By her own logic, maybe her fucking brother was supposed to die so they could get cancer treatment. At what point do you decide it's fate? At what point do you decide it's not? Are they scratched or infected?
I guess we're doing a good job then.
Have we thoroughly checked them both over for
Inside.
scratches? And
New day, new start.
have we checked them over for scratches and bites?
I'm scared all the time.
Yeah. Very real.
Is it still you inside?
Have you been scratched or bitten, sweetheart?
His medicine.
Does it work that way, child? Ellie, talk to Joel about this. We don't know that that's true. She's so good. I want that to work, but I'm scared. Because there's stuff the doctors want to do, isn't there? It's not just take her blood, but let's pray it's this simple. Oh. You should tell Joel and his brother.
I promise.
Please say it's as simple as smearing her blood on the wound. Though if it is, we could have saved Tess. I think that was just the desperate hope of a child with no other options. Oh Lord. He can't hear her, so that could be why he hasn't turned around. But it could also be that he's infected. Oh, this is horrible. Your brother's dead. You had to. You could have let Joel do it, but your brother was dead.
Henry, give me the gun.
Henry, you saved Ellie? And you put your brother out of his misery?
Give me the gun.
was worried that was gonna happen. Ellie, you did what you could, okay? It was foolish to hope that would work, but it was beautiful as well, and I don't think this outcome would have been any different. You need to talk to each other. She was a kid again so briefly. It's not your fault. He knows that guilt. Survivor's guilt. I'm thinking of 1,000 different things she could have done differently. If she'd got to them faster, if she told them about it, if her blood had worked, if she'd stayed awake, none of it would have made any difference. But when you survive, you do feel guilty. You need to talk to her, but I know you struggle with that too. You can let your feelings out, sweetheart, if you need to. Okay, so is this the third episode that's made me cry? Tess could have done if they lingered that out longer. I like that they went back and they showed us the night that the QZ, well, Fedra fell in the QZ, and the brutality of what was done. Meeting brutality with brutality is never the answer, but you can kind of understand it to a point when people get oppressed, get hurt, that rage that takes over, that desire for vengeance. But going after every single person that ever did anything to collaborate with Fedra, even when you know that the reason was because they were fucking desperate and pushed into a corner, and with the intention to just shoot them and the child, is so wrong. It makes you as bad as Fedra. Kathleen was as bad as Fedra. And honestly, looking at this, is the Kansas City QZ gonna fall now, or they were outside of it? So hopefully the people inside will be able to keep the walls up against this horde of infected and then make a better government and move on from all this brutality. But who knows? I doubt we'll ever know. Obviously, we saw in Boston that Fedra hanging people who broke the rule, it was wrong. The level of what they were doing was wrong, especially 20 years later. Maybe in the initial days when everything's desperate and fraught and you have to like get order somehow, even then I don't agree with it, but you can kind of understand how you would be in the mind space of like, oh yeah, cool, they're just gonna capital punishment. But 20 years on, no, there is no excuse for it. There is only, the only thing you could think of is change and a better, fairer government of any kind. And then finding out that even Joel had heard that the Kansas City QZ, the Federal, was even worse there. Of course, it was going to inevitably lead to this kind of retribution and bloodthirstiness. And it was very interesting to have Kathleen be unapologetic about it. You know, she was just like, yeah, my brother would hate this. I'm doing it anyway. Because that shows you that she either was always a psychopath, sociopath, or she kind of snapped with all the trauma she endured, and she was just someone that could not be saved. Now, ideally, in the ideal world, I would have wanted her to have life in prison for her crimes, just like I thought everyone else should have a fair trial and then their crimes. But seeing her get eaten by a child infected was not the worst thing in the world, because at least she can't hurt anybody else. And all the people that were enabling her, every single person there with a gun was saying, yes, this blind quest for vengeance is justified. So hopefully the Kansas City QZ will survive, and some slightly more rational people will be able to take it over, but who knows. Honestly, you really do see more and more as we explore more of this world why Ellie and the hope for a cure or a vaccine, again, like something to stop more people becoming infected, is our literal only hope. Because the world itself is not pulling together. Civilization is not making it through this. Humanity isn't bonding and becoming one and trying to get each other through this. People are becoming more tribal and factional and turning on each other to protect themselves, and it is not pretty. As I said in the past, I'd like to think that, you know, in England everyone's just, I mean, in England everything would suck, but you know, in Sweden everyone's just having a nice time in their QZs and everyone's having a great life. England would probably be the same, just there would have been less guns available to ordinary people. So seeing what happened and the terror and the brutality of it and a family to survive, and you know, I really wanted to know why Sam's son, the brother, Henry, had collaborated, because why he did it is a huge thing about whether or not you can support him as a character. And his reason was to save his brother's life. I get it. I don't necessarily agree with giving someone else's life for your brother, but at the same time, in that position when you're desperate to do anything you can to save someone that you love, you can understand why he did it. And I like that he was carrying the guilt of what he had done with him, unlike freaking Kathleen. And it's very interesting to look at this ripple effects of, if Fedra hadn't treated the people so harshly, they'd probably still be alive and in control. If Fedra had just given them medicine when they needed it, then that wouldn't. If Henry had said, well, I'm not going to turn on someone that's been good to me and that's good to people, maybe they never would have had a rebellion, or maybe it would have taken a little bit longer to happen, but when it did, there would have been justice and forgiveness, not bloodshed and murder. It makes it seem as though Michael was a very good person who would have been ideal to lead the rebellion, and him being taken away in this act, it shows you how ruthlessly effective Federal was, but how they also signed their own death warrant, quite literally. And the ripple effect of all of it led to Kathleen's quest for vengeance led every single person she brought there, and she brought a lot of people with her, to their deaths. I do not believe a single one of those people made it out alive. You know, maybe at most 2 or 3, but given that of our 4, one of them was scratched and bitten, I don't see any of them making it back. And all Kathleen's quest for vengeance did was lead her to more bloodshed. It caused more bloodshed, and then it led to more bloodshed. Every single person she summarily executed deserved a trial. I know that it's not, you know, current days with like laws, it's the future and an apocalypse, but they deserved a trial. They deserved to be judged. And, you know, did you turn your neighbour in because you wanted a nice, comfy bed? Then yeah, fuck you. Did you turn your neighbour in because your child was dying? I'll give you more of an understanding there. So it was a very real, morally grey situation where I don't fully agree with what Henry did, but I can fully understand it. You know, giving up your soul to protect that kid. I get it. Fedra is the true villains here. And not even necessarily the ordinary people that were working for Fedra. That, I mean, obviously if they've carried out the orders, then yes, they are. But, you know, people who were just, they wanted money for themselves and their families or whatever. Or like Ellie were, I presume, had whatever happened. I don't fully understand, obviously, because we didn't see Ellie's life before. But I'm presuming she was being raised by Fedra, would she have just become a Fedra official, like a soldier, and like, it's not her fault if she does, it's all she's known. Trials would have been what they deserved. So it was very messy as a situation. I'm not sad Kathleen and her minions are dead, because I think that way they can't cause more suffering to the world. I just hope the QZ survives and the people there have a chance. The story itself of the brothers and seeing Ellie get to be a kid, seeing her laugh, and I mean, we saw it when she was just alone with Joel, she's laughed at things, but getting to be a little kid, because yeah, she's 14, but that's still a little kid. At 14 you think you're so grown up, but you're still a little kid. And so seeing her being, I mean, yeah, she took on kind of like, I'm like older than you, so I'm like take you under my wing kind of vibe, but laughing with him and playing and looking after somebody else, you really see what a wonderful person she is, which we already knew, but how much potential there is for her. And it's why I always say that, like, yes, her life means more than anybody else's, because she can literally cure everybody. That, like, scientists can do stuff with her blood, hopefully, and figure out how to save everybody, but she also means the world because she is a human and a person, and she matters, and she's a wonderful one at that. And it was sort of the moment where Henry was able to say, well, I could see you're a father. And I think being around Ellie is bringing up a lot of stuff from Sarah, because of course it is. And just the chaos of that moment when they were on the street. And I was praying the old man was just like a crazy lunatic person that had somehow managed to survive in an attic of a house. But it was fairly obvious he was going to be a sentry. And the moment when Joel was like, just don't turn around. Like, don't point the gun at me. Like, I don't want to kill you. Don't do it. And you just knew he was going to. I knew that either Henry or Sam were going to have been bitten or scratched. I guess it's just bitten. I don't know, but it was going to have happened. They were under that car kicking away at infected for a very long time. Ellie couldn't have got to them any faster than she did. Joel was hyper-focused on saving Ellie. He couldn't avert his attention to try and shoot them away from them, because in doing so, Ellie might have been killed. Yes, a bite wouldn't kill her, but a swipe on the carotid or something and she's dead. And seeing the way she was desperate to save them, willing to sacrifice. She could have just tried and run to safety, but she went for them. It shows you what a wonderful person she is. how terrified she would have been, but she was able to keep a rational head. She was able to think, I can hide in there, and then obviously there's a child infected, so that doesn't work. But just seeing she is good under pressure. One thing she is not good at is knowing when to conserve her ammo. Firing at an armoured truck blindly wasn't going to stop it. Joel was already doing that. If she'd had a bullet, she could have shot the infected in the car, and maybe she'd have survived in there a bit longer, but then the brothers would have died sooner. And then that final scene with the brothers, or with Sam, and you know, looking at it, and Ellie saying she's sorry at the end because she's got survivor's guilt. I mean, I suppose you could amputate. I mean, I'm thinking of like zombie things I've seen, amputate his leg, but then what supplies did they have in that motel room to do that? If they could get him to a doctor or a hospital or something, sure, maybe they could do that. As things are, it would have just been chopping off his leg and then letting him bleed to death or get infected and die. It wasn't a viable option. Giving him some of her blood on the wound was a very, very sweet idea. It wasn't totally stupid, but if it was that simple, they wouldn't necessarily need to get it to scientists to figure out this cure. We could just drain the girl of blood. I'm joking, but it was very sweet and giving him hope that it wasn't all over. Really, I do think she should have told Joel and Henry. I know the kid didn't want to. He was scared. He didn't want to worry his brother. He didn't want to put his brother through that, but they could have said goodbye. They could have, who knows. Is it painful when it happens, when you lose control, or is it kind of just like you go to sleep and you're dead and then your body just does more functioning? I hope it's not painful. But Ellie will always be thinking, if I'd done more, if I'd got there faster, if I'd told them about it, it could have gone differently. And that moment of pure panic when he was infected and they burst through the door and Henry had the gun and was just trying to protect his brother until he realized my brother's gone and he shot him. In some ways, it's good. He put his brother out of his misery. His brother wasn't himself anymore. He was already gone and he saved Ellie. But also Joel could have done that for him. But the minute that was happening, I was just thinking, I don't see Henry coming with us on a trip. Best case scenario would have been Henry just wandering off by himself and dying some other way. I mean, best case scenario would have been Henry coming with us and grieving and processing, but that wasn't going to happen after everything he'd given up for this kid, the parts of his soul he'd given up, the hope that that little boy represented, and hearing him laugh, the joy that gave him. To see him dead and to shoot him, that's why Joel was desperate for the gun. Maybe, you know, there was a tiny chance he'd have just lost it and started shooting up the whole room, but I think in that moment everyone there knew the chances of that gun getting turned back on him were very, very high. And then it happened, and I'm so sad that Ellie had to see that Ellie had got to know these people and was so good and kind and Ellie with them, just to watch them, just to lose them. Ellie's fear of ending up alone as well makes perfect sense, partly because she literally cannot die from being infected. She can die from being ripped to pieces or whatever, but she can't be infected and die. She's already lost Tess, was one travel companion, and these are people that were going to come with them. Boom, gone. And also I think, as much as when Henry and Joel had that conversation about, is it easier for kids, and it's like, yeah, they're not looking out for anybody, I think Ellie liked having somebody to look after, having a job in a way, because it took her mind off being scared. Because at the moment she's very aware that Joel is in control of things, Joel's looking out for her, Joel will tell her to duck, run, whatever. But it was nice, I think she liked having a little kid, that it was her sort of job to look after, even though it wasn't. But you know, I think she did like that. Going forward, Joel and Ellie have built up a really lovely relationship. They trust each other, they care about each other more than I think either of them would like to admit. They know each other very well from having spent these days together, but they haven't breached the walls between them fully yet. And of course they haven't, look at their lives, but I do think everything they're experiencing, you cannot keep that behind a wall for forever, because that wall will break, and it will break at the worst moment possible. So I do hope somehow they're able to talk about what they've been through, but at the same time I don't see that happening, and I'm just worried for them in general, both physically and emotionally. This show does not miss a beat, but it is also devastating. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon, and thank you so much for watching.